a lot of times, look, let's just be honest. Let's be honest. I say a lot of things. I say way too many things. But I say things because I think when people come from like the watcher perspective, because I like to say there's two types of people in the world, Britney Spears. There's the ones who entertain and the ones who observe, right? And so when you come from a perspective of entertaining people, guess what? You've had a world perspective. And it's not like boasting or bragging about saying, let me put my camera here. It's not saying like, oh, I know everything, listen to me. But I think the people who are trying to say something right now are the ones being like shut out a lot. We're being called conspiracy and we're being called blah, 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 blah. And the subject matter that came up yesterday, I'm just going to speak in abroad because I think a lot of us want to speak and have a conversation about it, but then people are not aware how to execute dialogue. I don't know. I just think of this. Look, let's just be honest. Miss Harris and her relationship with her father is not good. It's right there in Google search. But some people deny that. If you deny that, then basically you're creating a boundary and a filter of digesting information. Whereas people who were the entertainers of the world basically didn't have a opportunity to put filters in any place. So I'm going to elaborate on my own personal experience. Everything that I've done in my life and in my career, I've had to listen to someone else. People constantly have told me how to do this, how to do it that way. I want it this way. And only entertainer would know how to coordinate and mutate themselves to fit in, or to do their job so they get paid, or just to do the right thing. So, in a nutshell, this whole 2020 experience has been nothing but a mind frustration because everyone's fighting for equal rights yet again, but why are we, what? I've been asking this all year long. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Because the common argument is this color person doesn't like these people and we need to rule this person out. But it doesn't fix the situation. The situation's already been here. We live in a dualistic environment. It's called 3D Earth. And anything that third density in that paradigm is always going to follow itself. 3D is round. So if you think of a dog chasing its tail, that is third density. That is the third 3D paradigm. I'm going to speak in my wisdom alter ego. Because when I speak as the person Aaron, a lot of people contradict a lot of things that I say and people turn things on me. And I think I got pushed to capacity when I saw that someone I really respected, an educator that has educated me in my childhood, has posted something regarding my viewpoint without confronting me. That was it. I'm like, look, dude, block. I don't care how important and significant you were to me. I don't do virtual bullying because you a different colored skin person talking smack about the intelligence of someone who is trying to speak wisdom to people on a daily basis and showing his face value, trying to bring some more enlightenment and encouragement, but still instilling that wisdom and knowledge to my peers. The one thing that I would say from an egotistical standpoint is I'm not a stupid person. And it's something that I've been trying to say in subliminal context all year long. I'm not a stupid person. So when I see somebody, like yesterday, for example, someone commented to someone else and they agreed on something that they disagreed about me. when you didn't acknowledge, when the person didn't acknowledge me and just skipped over, ignoring my statement because it's a stupid statement according to them, they acknowledged someone completely strange, like a complete stranger they don't know. That was like a stab in my back. I brushed it off. I burned my sage. You know, I know I'm like not in this third density, but I know my emotions get dragged down into it a lot. So I'm trying to help lift, and I think sometimes ego gets involved when I'm involving myself in these common social irritating situations. Like politics is just something that it's going to corrupt itself by the end of the year. That's just I foresee it. It's just kind of weird to me that for such a long time, people wanted a non political person to take charge. And then when it's someone that is, the common opposition of what everyone looks like in America, you call it racism. The thing about it is, if I were to speak on a grand scale of what I'm noticing, I noticed that slavery isn't just physical. Slavery is mental. When you feel like you have to respond to something because everyone else is responding to it, the way that everyone's responding to it, you're imprisoning yourself into a frequency. Hi, May! 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 May's my lovely singer friend. You'll be my co-host for today. It just kind of breaks my heart. And I think it come from like, do you guys see what's going on? Do you not see what's going on? And people just don't care. And, I've kind of had my wave of depression over that because when you were somebody who did something for so many people and then now you're in this position of, I don't know what to do with myself. I've tried to do virtual this, I tried to sell this, I tried to be that, and no one's paying attention. All I had was my voice. And I felt like, okay, well, I have a voice of change, I have a voice of reason, and I speak the light, I speak from a divine place. I intend to speak grace on everybody. But what happens is there's this pushback, and the pushback is not how people think of me. The pushback is there's like 100 or so plus people who already feel a certain way, and people feel, I don't know, there's like a subliminal manipulative energy, in my opinion. You guys can like weigh in on comments. I don't know how to really explain this, but if 10 people thought the same way and said the same thing 50 times in a row, you somehow attach yourself to that, because what stands out is the one person who doesn't agree. And when that one person doesn't agree, everything that you had against that person is revealed because you have this voice of opinion over here versus that one. And most people would choose the bigger group over the one person. I call this the Jesus effect, because a lot of folks will go, oh, this is what they did. Peter was the biggest coward of them all. When they said, who is your God, Peter? Or, who is this God of Jesus? And Peter backed out. He cowered himself. I mean, even if you were to say the Bible was just a story and a metaphor, it's the truth. People cowered out when they're in a position of either you surrender or you stand up for something. And a lot of people that I know are being cowards right now. They are being cowards because you had this peaceful protest, in my opinion, that destroyed a lot of our morale here in the United States. And it affected the whole world. And I said, we all completely forgot about the COVID survivors, that was the primary thing, was because I know what it was like to have to heal myself locked in my own apartment with windows and doors closed for 14 days, not knowing if I'm going to die or not. And people kind of just, I'm not making that a victim statement. I'm just saying I got over it. There's therapy, but there's no cure. But I recovered because I did my homework, I did my research, and I'm fine. And other people are coming to me in confidence about it, like, what did you do? Right? But my main point was that here's someone who could have been on their deathbed, and you guys are worrying about a peaceful protest against this color cop versus this color people. And it was just that quick that everyone forgot that people were dying over a virus. Genetically engineered by humans, if you ask me. The other thing was that I live right in the epicenter of one of the main areas where they're constantly demonstrating. It's a beautiful city. Long Beach is a beautiful city. Hi, Chris. My cousin's here. I think you've been here in Long Beach a couple times, but it's not that town anymore. I think what they're trying to do is renovate downtown LA. So they're putting a lot of those people who are on Skid Row or homeless area on the train. And the end of the train goes right to Long Beach. And the demonstrators for the BLM movement, I'm just trying to paint a perspective so people can just see a huge, bigger picture here. Because I'm trying not to choose sides. I don't choose sides. And hi, Julie, I saw you too. Julie knows I teach dance. And I've been in the middle of everybody. I've been in the middle of someone who was Palestinian and someone who was Jewish in my class. And the two had to learn how to dance next to each other. So I think my frustration goes to, why don't people listen to me when I speak, when I say something? Or, people, they push back on me so much and just want to dumbify me to being a 5, 6, 7, 8 person. But then, like, when I weigh in on what I've done on a global level to unite people, why is there pushback when I have a perspective that people should utilize and go, hey, there is a bigger picture here. There's something I need to pay attention to besides follow the main narrative, because this sucks. So this person made me upset. Said I live in conspiracy world. It's all a conspiracy. Well, who knows how you can't prove that people are not getting paid to demonstrate. Maybe you can prove it. And those people who are demonstrating, who of them are actually doing it for the cause of standing up for their brothers and sisters? Versus someone had an interview the other day and they said, oh, we're looting because those are high-priced items that we can trade and buy and sell to provide food for ourselves. That's still slavery. When you manipulate a mass group of people to make them think or feel like they have to do something because it's their way of survival, that's slavery. I think the word employment is slavery. You have to clock in at this time. You have to do this job. Trust me, supervisors who do not pay attention to their staff. I've been there, done that. You will work so hard to try to please your supervisor to get that promotion, to get that raise, and you would do anything. You would expand yourself to do anyone's task as long as you got to be noticed. That's slavery. Slavery isn't whips and chains and being beaten. And that was the narrative of the last 50 years. It was intimidation of power over people who didn't have power. And my mom said this one important thing. She said, who do you think were the pioneers of veganism and vegetarianism? And I was like, white people. She was like, no, black people. I was like, I did the dog. And she explained to me that we were given all the leftovers from all the the masters back then. See, back then the text was different. It was called master. Now it's called supervisor or manager. It's the same thing. It's just people use vocabulary on different pronouns now differently than they did before. Like, what really frustrates me the most, and I'll go back to what my mom said. What frustrates me the most is when people now, they say, like, let's say one pop culture icon that reports drama is talking about a certain celebrity. They'll say, oh, and so-and-so dragged Tamar Braxton for saying this and that. Cardi B dragged Wendy Williams for saying this and that. People are not aware that they have just been indoctrinated to accept slavery because, and this isn't my ideology, this is just, it is what it is. You know that people of color who do not agree to doing their labor were tied around their ankles and chained to the back of a car or roped to the back of a car. Even when we saw early stages of homophobic attacks and assaults on people, they were tied at their ankles and driven who knows how long. We even see it in cowboy movies where they rope them on their ankle and the horses drag them. This is what you did to torture somebody. It is what it is. And some people like to put a boundary. Oh, I don't go that far. That I unsubscribe from that. But the reality is, if you don't integrate your maturity with understanding that happened, you're going to accidentally indoctrinate yourself in something you didn't ask for. And I keep talking about this Marxist movement, and people do not believe what it is. Black Panthers was the first wave of this capitalistic ideology to turn it around on people. If we use reverse psychology, we can lower the power of the white man. That's what they did. So they acted. So this whole, in a nutshell, this whole intimidation factor, no matter what color it is, people are using this middle ground, middle class, low class people as a catalyst to indoctrinate their ideologies. You see it all the time when people chant whatever it is, even if it didn't exist and you're chanting it, you will believe that it existed because so many people on a mass scale have repeated it. I'm a dance teacher. I know this. I can get anybody to do any dance move in the world because I know that the method is you recite or you repeat something that the mind can register 5 times. It's in science. And then this numbnut wants to call me conspiracy. So going back to what my mom said. She said that the reason why a lot of people of color, diabetes, cholesterol, all their health issues and concerns regarding food was probably because their heritage and their ancestry came from a vegetarian, vegan-based diet. Because if they worked on fields, if they got leftovers from their masters at that time, they didn't have meat. They didn't have all of the meat. Maybe they did have a little bit of meat, but they didn't have bread and this. They had a lot of oat and plant-based and wheat, all this stuff. Everything was all field-based because that's where their origins are from. African culture too. Everything is, the healthiest people probably live in third world countries. So when you put a race or an ethnic group of people in a homegrown land, this new world, and you process the food and whatnot, guess what? You deteriorate all of their insides. Because they were used to, their bloodline, the DNA, all of that is used to their third world, where they came from. So I like to close out by saying that, in my honest opinion, there's these labels that make absolutely no sense. I don't believe in the word African American anymore. I don't. I think it was just a way to enslave people in this thought process that if you were brought here as a slave and we're going to keep you here and work hard, and we're still working hard for what? That's what African American means to me. And people can disagree with me. I really do not care anymore. I know what my heart is saying. I know when I pray and what grace is telling me, and that's all I'm going with. I'm no longer allowing myself to lower my self-esteem because people disagree with me on social media. I think the last straw was when, I don't like it when somebody goes behind your back to post something about what you said and not confront you about it, not ever confront you about anything. and quite frankly, not even have your back when you were in a moment of distress. Where were you when I was going through something, and then yet you still are here criticizing me about, I persevered through a couple of hardships, and yet you still are talking shit behind my back. That ain't cool. Not cool at all. So I think that on a metaphysical level lowers my vibration. And so I've been trying to do these different things to help bring myself back up, but I can't go back up because it's like there's so many people who attach on to what one person might say in comments, and then everybody piles up on you. And that's what I mean. That's slave mentality. When there's a group of people who have been indoctrinated in a thought process, no matter how incorrect they are, people will believe the mass group of people because it's an intimidation. That's still slavery. So I guess I pulled a Kanye on this one. It's insane. I think this week was probably the week where I'm learning that going forward, I'm going to have to cut a lot of relationships because it's not even on viewpoint and discussion. It's based off of how much have I learned, have people respected me. And since this black thing has come up, this color, it's like you guys have been so focused on what white people are up to against black people that you're incidentally offending black people in the process. And it's my own people who are mostly offending me, and it's people who've been with me since a child, who've grown up with me, that are being more offensive. It's like you're being so disgraceful in terms of exemplifying your hate towards the president that it's showing your bad side. It's showing how awful you are as a person because you hate someone that bad when it really has nothing to do with all of this argument that we've been doing has nothing to do with us. Because at the end of the day, no matter who's in charge or who wins the election or who wins the vote, we're still going to be slaves to, like what? Katy Perry said it, chained to the rhythm. Michael Jackson said it, slave to the rhythm. Prince said it too. Jimi Hendrix said it. Roseanne Barr lost her TV show when she said it. Yeah. I mean, that's already enough examples there. I think it was sad when you saw Kathy Griffin show, her holding the head. And then, half people laughed at it. That's what that jerk gets, orange, duck face 45. I'm like, really? You are as embarrassing as what he says on Twitter. So it cancels itself out. I don't think people see it that way. But somebody who's in the middle, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I kind of am. Because I look at both sides. And I look at the people who are trying to say, look, left, you need to calm down. Just calm down. And then left saying, F you, I hate you, I hate your family. You're a disgrace to human, society. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? But people don't realize that they're being engineered and programmed to say these things and not even know it. Like these things are coming out of the mouth of people, they're not even resonating in the heart. And that's the problem, is if people had just took some time to say, let me focus on what is in my heart first before I weigh in on saying something on another human being that God created. Regardless, if they're evil, do darkness, if they don't like you, they're still created by the Creator. It's all an infinite society. It's an infinite world of possibility. So be careful of what you put your negative intentions into. If you want to say, I hope that person dies because I don't like him, he's racist. That is no better than the subject you are trying to condemn. And to me, that's where I call it judgment. We are in the tribulation. We are in judgment. Because everything you try to project and say out is coming back in a negative incantation. Boom, big word. And I always just tell people, you need to focus on, what's the word I'm looking for? That thing you do with yourself. Not recompense, but it's in that category of reconcile. Reconcile within yourself. I've been doing this all lockdown long, reconciling with every flaw that I can relate myself to being part of, every negative thing I participated with, every negative person I participated with, even up to like the comments from yesterday. Negative. I know I'm a very positive person, but when we talk race, and you are not the color of the person that is constantly coming up in 2020. I mean, this is like it's a boiling point. We're in this Uranus retrograde where everything goes poof. And I'm feeling the energy of it because I can't stand it anymore. I can't sit here and just dance around my apartment and pretend that everything's peachy key. You know, I have a voice, I have intelligence, and I have a gift of prophecy. And those things must be brought into fruition, whether you like it or not. If people don't like it, remove me as a shut up stomach. God, you guys hear my stomach. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching me, the few of you who are here. And I think you guys resonate with what I'm saying because it's just the people who I think are nervous to say something, people who choose not to say anything because there's no way to balance everything, and the people who are, did I say scared to say something? The people who are just like, I'm just, Those are the people who are being shut out by the false believers. These people refuse to believe that there's an expansion on a lot of these topics. You consciously choose not to believe something because you choose not to believe it, versus allowing your mentality to just understand. Doesn't mean you have to believe it, doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but the fact that you understand that something exists is far more better for your consciousness and your soul than to cut something off and then have to suffer the consequence later by saying, "Ooh, I should have paid attention." Hi, May. So she says, I go in my heart first before I open my mouth. Let people be. The only one you can change is yourself. True. And that's something that I always, I write it as my mantra to myself on a daily basis. I can only work on myself, and I'm constantly working on myself. And a friend of mine, they brought up the other day, what do you do at home? I'm like, I sit here, I'm working on myself. Like every second of the day. And it's crazy because you would think, 5 months that we've been in this weird situation, how could someone sit privately in their home? Well, because every time I step out, there's just like too much. There's drama, there's toxic people who have unresolved issues, and I'm attaching myself, unfortunately, because I step outside. You know, or every person that I acquaint with has baggage of something. And it's just not worth it. It's best to just stay home, be in my inner peace, be in my sanctuary. And it's not the time to be applying for a job. If you know your rent is a certain amount of money and you get a job right now, you're still going to be in the slave mentality. You're still going to be working hard to provide for something that you can't afford. That's the problem. So when I look at how things are going in terms of the people in charge of our reality right now, I see nothing wrong with where we're at right now. And I think where things can build is great from where we are. We're at a ground zero to build up. But I think to wipe off ground zero and then start from scratch is probably the dangerous thing we can do right now. And people are so excited because we're like, yeah, we get to get rid of Mr. Orange. We get to get rid of him. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get what you want. It just basically means that when you reset something, you clear the whole table. Every policy, every executive order, every litigation, it gets removed. And then guess what? Your rights, your community inputs, all those things they become detached. And then now people have to learn how to accept detachment in order to reattach to new things. It's like a marriage that doesn't work out, a divorce. You have to learn to detach from something, and then when love comes back around, you learn to reattach. It's such a hard reality, and I think people don't want to face, they don't want to face reality. They want to stick in their reality. And I always tell people, life on 3D Earth, this paradigm, we're all in one reality. You're watching me talk. I'm witnessing that you're watching me talk. That is one reality. Whatever I say, wherever you don't want to pay attention to what I say, it will come out of somewhere else. There's just no escaping reality. That's just the way it is. Everybody drinks from the same source of water. Everyone shadooby doobs down a toilet, but it goes to the same. You guys get what I'm saying. We breathe the same oxygen, no matter where you are in the world. It is one reality. And I think everyone has this fantasy idea that my reality is full of bliss and happiness and peace and prosperity. And that ain't true. You are lying to yourself. Because the true reality is all that peace, prosperity, and baloney and malarkey, you have to go within to have it. Like a lot of times I go and meditate. And in my meditations, I have these cool little places where I go. You call them visions, call them dream states, call them astral projections. But I have better clarity and I have better reassurance of my inner self when I go to sleep, because I don't have nightmares. I don't have bad dreams too often. But what I do see is the good side of the possibility of things when I go into my sleep. So my advice is meditate. Sing to yourself, sing out loud, write to yourself, write journals, spend some time to decorate your apartment, create your sanctuary. And lastly, stop arguing with each other, because I just look at the scale of our collective vibration, and it is going doo. Then you have that one person that goes, hey, everybody, stop, look up. And they go, you're a liar. Boom. It happens to me every day, and I really am so proud of myself because I let it roll off my back. Finally. It's taken me 10 years to learn how to let things roll off my back. Though I have to process being upset that someone I care about is being disrespectful, and sometimes they are quietly disrespectful. And sometimes I just know that you're talking smack to your husband or your partner. You know, I don't care. Don't care. I'm not in that role where everyone is watching me in front of the room teaching dance, and I have an important role in a corporation. I don't have anything right now. All I have is my heart and my soul. And I advise you guys to have that too.